Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am Dr. Glenda Francis, and I'm honored to welcome you to this empowering session focused on women's health and wellness, a space where we can center our well-being, elevate our voices, and reconnect with the strength that lives within each of us. Today's presentation is designed to equip you with practical knowledge, evidence-based strategies, and meaningful insights to support your health journey, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Whether you're here to gain tools for personal wellness, explore preventative care, or simply to prioritize yourself for a moment, you are in the right place. So let's begin this journey together, informed, inspired, and intentional. The objectives for this presentation is for us, for you, to educate yourself and others, to learn about mental health conditions, treatment modalities, and the realities people face, to correct myths and misconceptions when you encounter them, and to provide factual information to those around you. Women face unique mental health challenges influenced by biology, social and cultural factors, and mental health is a crucial aspect of our overall well-being for women, especially. So addressing these issues improves quality of life, relationships, and productivity. So this presentation explores common mental health concerns, risk factors, and strategies for wellness. So understanding women's mental health is a phenomenon that I think is not really well addressed or well known. So we're talking about women today, and of course we've been gender specific. Women are different from men. They do not have the same biological makeup. The mental load of the modern woman is tremendous. So the power of prevention and advocacy is critical. And I want you to know that you are stronger than you believe. So when you leave this presentation, I want you to be empowered to advocate and speak up when the opportunity presents itself. Women are more prone to depression and anxiety than men. That's what the studies reveal. And often that's due to hormonal fluctuations. Life stages like pregnancy and postpartum, menopausal issues impact our mood and emotional health significantly. I'm just going to share a little bit. When I had my first child, I felt a certain way that I couldn't describe because I was a young mother, young bride, and I couldn't explain how I felt, but I felt a sense of loss. This thing that I carried for 9 months, it was no longer part of me internally. So I had some challenges. And as I grew older and I learned, went to school, nursing school, I have a doctorate in nursing practice, I realized that it was postpartum depression that no one had a name for. So we want to be aware of those. Societal expectations and gender roles can contribute to stress and mental health disorders. So recognizing these influences that we are going to discuss helps to develop targeted support and interventions. So I want us to really think about some of those things. Think about the women in our lives, the girls, the teenagers, the children, the siblings. Just pay attention to what's going on in their world. Let's talk about some common health issues in women. We talk a little bit about depression. 1 in 8 women suffers sadness, fatigue persistently, and the feeling of worthlessness. So we need to pay attention to those. Anxiety is another thing that really troubles women. They have panic attacks, they have phobias, they're impacted twice more than men. So we seem like we're at a disadvantage, but we are strong and we are able to we're very resilient and we're able to manage if we have the right support. Postpartum depression that I mentioned a little while ago, 1 in 7 women, suffers mood swings and exhaustion and guilt after giving birth, and they cannot identify really what's happening. Eating disorders, especially in young women, common among adolescent young women, distorted bodies. They want to be perfect. They want to have that shape that they see on TV, that model. Everyone is not created equal. So we wouldn't all look the same. It would be a very boring world if we all were Coke bottles. Young girls resort to bulimia and anorexia oftentimes. If you notice that, or if you've noticed that in yourself, reach out for help. Don't be ashamed to say I'm overwhelmed or I need some help. If you have some other issues and you want to reduce your stress level and burnout level related to work and family, you may want to try exercising. And it doesn't have to be going to the gym and paying for a membership. You can use what God gave us. Exercise, walking, gardening, working in your yard. I love working in my yard. If my husband wants to make me feel happy, take me to Home Depot, and I can just go crazy in the plant department. But that's really refreshing. Walking outdoors, running. I was a runner until I injured my ankle, so I don't run as much outdoors anymore. I run inside. But running is so refreshing and invigorating. Or walking, speed walking, or walking with your friends. Very invigorating, helps you to think and to clear your head, and you can focus. And just doing fun things for yourself. If your cup is empty, you cannot fill someone else's. So you do something that helps you to relax, like reading a good book. It could be a physical book or an audio book. I do a lot of audio book reading because of my time, especially when I'm exercising, I'm running, or I am multitasking when I look at the news, which is the only thing I look at. Sometimes I have my audiobook listening in the background. And also you may just want to you know, if you like reading, get one of the fun books, or you want to do a crossword puzzle. I like crossword puzzles too. They really help me to relax and focus and concentrate. Because as I mentioned, if your cup is empty, you cannot fill another person's cup. There are multiple dimensions of wellness: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social, professional. And we have to also remember to encourage equality between physical health and mental health. Treat mental health issues with the same seriousness and compassion as physical illness. Draw the parallels between physical and mental health, like diabetes, cancer, or schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Wellness is not a one-size-fits-all phenomenon. We are impacted differently. So I want you to take a deep breath, reflect gently, and choose one of these dimensions to nurture today. So, which dimensions of your well-being needs your attention today? Think of something that needs your attention, because I'm sure there is something. We all could probably select something that we need to pay attention to. There are many factors affecting women's mental health, and we alluded to before the hormonal changes that impact us during our life cycle, the gender equality. We are multitasking. Taking care of loved ones. The societal pressure that we have to perform, especially if we're in professional environments. We're expected to perform as well as the male or male counterpart, even though oftentimes we're not paid as well. But there are a lot of societal pressure to excel. We may suffer life trauma, abuse, death in the family, relationship issues. Lots of things impact our mental health and well-being. The environmental factors, financial stress, we live in unsafe environment. We have limited access to care because we may not have insurance and we cannot seek the care that we need. So there are a lot of factors impacting us, but we have to learn some tips for balancing our hormones through nutrition, to exercising, to sleep. And one thing I want to emphasize, we need to talk openly about mental health. So sharing personal experiences and discussing mental health publicly, whether in conversations or on social media, really helps normalize the topic and it really shows others they are not alone. Because oftentimes people think they are alone, and in reality, they're not alone. We all have our little issues that we're dealing with, even though we may not discuss them publicly. And I want to emphasize again nutrition and exercise. I mean, I am an exercise fanatic. I tell myself, God gave me one body. If I don't take care of it, it's mine. I take care of it, it's mine. I cannot return it to get a new one. So I try to prioritize my self-care. So taking care of your own mental health, you need to have positive examples, you need to set priorities and help normalize seeking help and practicing self-care. You need to fuel your body with good, healthy meals so you can have good energy for your body's healing. Um, Eat the right meals. We are what we eat. The old adage says, if we garbage in, we will get garbage out. We put poor nutritious food in, that's what we will have the results of poor nutritious food. We wouldn't be as energetic and active as we need to be. So be aware of what you're putting into your body. And the one thing I would mention here, um, I mentioned before, we are what we eat. But a little tip that I will share with you. I am not a breakfast person. I don't tolerate breakfast very well. So I have something around 11 o'clock and I have a smoothie. I have a berry smoothie or a green smoothie or something with maybe a banana, but that's all I have, a smoothie. And I've been doing that for maybe 15, 20 years. The one thing I would recommend, if you don't have the time for breakfast, you don't have the time to scramble some eggs or put a sandwich together, I recommend, if you like blueberries, a half a cup of blueberries, just throw that in your mouth, take them with you in the car. Blueberries are packed with polyphenols and they peak in 1 to 2 hours and last up to 6. So that will take you until around your lunch hour. You would have good energy, good, nutritious, healthy energy. So listen to your body. Be intuitive about what your body is telling you because your body speaks to you and you need to stop and listen. Because if you listen, you take the time and listen, it will tell you what you need to do to have it function at its optimum level. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of mental wellness. We know that mental wellness, if we're well mentally, like if we are well physically, we're able to accomplish more than if we're sick. So mental wellness enhances physical health, lowers the risk of heart disease, lowers your blood pressure. It helps you to build resilience to stress because we all do know that stress wreaks havoc on our bodies, both our physical and our mental health, if we don't address the causative agents. Good mental health, I should say, improves relationships and communication. It fosters self-esteem and independence. And there is nothing like positive self-esteem and helps to contribute to a thriving society. So manage your schedule. Block off time for reflections on small breaks. If you're in an office environment where you don't, you're glued to a desk and a computer, block off time, and I've learned to do that. I used to be one of those people that just work all the time, accept every meeting invitation. My admin assistant sees there's a spot on my calendar that's vacant, and she put something there I would accept because I feel a sense of obligation. I now block times off on my schedule for breaks, even though they could be physiological breaks, but you need to take some time to just relax and take some deep breaths, maybe walk around the office, just stretch your legs. Don't be afraid to do that. Feel empowered not to accept every meeting invitation if they will disrupt your day or your schedule, unless it's an emergency. And as we socialize with people, let's be conscious of the language we use, especially around people that are suffering from mental health challenges. We want to use respectful language, person first language. And I give you an example. Instead of person with depression, instead of saying a depressed person, we can say a person with depression instead of a depressed person. Avoid derogatory terms. Words matter in shaping attitude and reducing stigma. So we want to be very, very conscious of that. Um, Not speaking, quietly in a group setting where we know there's a person there suffering some, mental trauma because they often think that you're speaking about them. So you want to be aware and be cautious that you're not doing that because we don't want to make them feel less than because we all have our issues. Trust me. We want to talk about stress and burnout and setting boundaries. I mean, there are common signs of burnout in women. We talked about them a little bit earlier. The role of stress and physical and emotional health is tremendous. And if it's okay to say no with grace, be assertively aggressive when it comes to managing your health and wellness. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed to say no, I can't make it today. Let's talk about doing this another time. Let's table it for another time. Women are stressed because of their roles. We are often head of households. We're providing care for our children, our elderly parents, other family members. Everybody is leaning on the woman of the house. So oftentimes they have no me time. So we need to focus on making time for us, having some me time, even if it's just journaling or just practicing mindfulness, whatever it is that makes you happy, that brings you joy. You want to do that for you because you are worth it. You are important. We actually need to recognize some of the signs and symptoms that women are experiencing. It is critical not to deny signs and symptoms and to seek professional help. If you are around women or you are experiencing those, you want to be mindful of that. The sadness that you may see in a woman, she may be irritable, she may have mood swings, and then we kind of label her as probably being uncooperative or being not unfriendly, but we don't know what's going on internally. Encourage, sleep, because oftentimes we fatigue because of the roles that we have to play. We always multitasking. I am the queen of multitasking, I must admit that. We see changes in their appetite. Sometimes they don't feel like eating or they just eat a lot of junk, whatever is easy. We need to watch for those signs also. Behavioral problems like withdrawing from family members, neglecting duties, not taking a bath. And I have a friend that I get so concerned about because she has a history of depression, and when she has an episode or something triggers her, she would be in the house for a month and she wouldn't speak to anyone. She wouldn't take a bath. She just, so we have to look for those types of things. Women that are indecisive, they have difficulty concentrating, they forgetful. If we notice those signs and symptoms that I mentioned persisting for over 2 weeks, then we need to assist in getting that individual help or asking them to reach out to the PCP for guidance. We need to be compassionate and show support. Listen to what they have to share without being judgmental and validate their experience and offer support to those struggling. And we don't just want to offer support, we want to also show kindness. So do some simple acts of kindness and show understanding, that can make a big difference in a woman's experience with mental challenges. People really don't really care much about what you say. They care a lot about what you do. So you want to put your money where your mouth is and actually do something for that woman in your life, that friend, that child. Take them someplace. Go to the zoo or go to the aquarium. Take them someplace to just take their mind off away from some of the things that they're experiencing and what they're thinking. And that sometimes would pay dividends. Mental health and connection, of course, we talk about normalizing the conversations around anxiety and depression and trauma. And most of us have been touched by one or more of those issues that we've been talking about. So don't be reluctant to utilize available resources. And try to form some sort of bond with a sister. It could be a family member, it could be just a friend. But if you're comfortable with that individual, share your own story, share your journey. And that can inspire hope and reduce shame for that individual or for others. Um, this would make mental health challenges more relatable and less isolating. So having a strong sisterhood bond will really help a woman who is experiencing some of these challenges. And seeking therapy or counseling, coaching. There are lots of programs out there right now. There's no one size fits all, as we mentioned. You can explore whatever works for you. And I have a little special something for you at the end, which I will share when I get there, because I really want you to benefit from this program because we don't pay sufficient attention to some of the things affecting women, especially in the workplace. And let me tell you, sometimes in the workplace it could be more challenging than at home. So let's talk about some strategies for maintaining mental health. We talk a little bit about exercise and sleep and diet because, that's who I am as a person, and that really helps me. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. I try to at least get my exercise in at least 6 days a week. If I can do six, I try to get at least five, where I do my high intensity and I do my weights and all of that. But as I mentioned, this car is not going to be turned into a brand new car. It's going to be a car that I need to maintain. It's almost like you go into the dealership and you purchase a brand new Mercedes or Lexus or whatever, Maserati, and they tell you to use premium gas. But premium gas has become so expensive. You decide, well, I'm just going to use regular. Well, if you use regular, that car will not perform as well as if you use premium, which is a little more expensive. But you get what you pay for. It's just like our bodies. If we put junk in, it's not going to function as well as if we put good things in. So again, we want to explore support groups and build healthy relationships. And don't be afraid to say no and to manage your time. If you have meetings, one thing that I have done, especially on Mondays and Fridays, I block of time on my calendar to address administrative things. And so I'm not stressed. Sometimes I have 8 meetings on my calendar in a day. So if I have any control over scheduling meetings, I make them 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, never an hour anymore. Because sometimes when you have eight back to back to back to back, there's no time for even a physiological break, which you need. So those are little things that we can do to help ourselves. Don't be embarrassed to seek help. Most of our organizations today offer an employee assisted program that you can utilize to speak to a counselor or a coach, whatever the need is. It doesn't have to be even for mental health. It could be just something you want to talk about. You want to get another person's perspective and you want it to be confidential. Now, if you notice the young folks today, the millennials, you hear them talk about, oh, I saw my therapist and he said this and she said this, and you kind of wonder, where are you seeing a therapist? they're taking care of their mental health and wellness. You hear me? They don't play when it comes to taking care of me. They do that very well. So use a trusted friend if you have to be, and be vulnerable with someone who you are comfortable with. It has to be someone who you're comfortable with, because if it's a friend, you want to make sure that that's a confidant. And if it's, of course, you're seeking guidance from an employee assisted program, then they have a bond to maintain confidentiality. So take advantage of these opportunities that present themselves in your work environment. Let's talk a little bit about preventive care essentials for women. We know that we need to take time to know our bodies and to respond to the triggers that our bodies may send. Don't ignore the warning signs, address them immediately. Get our regular screenings or mammograms or pap smears, health checks. Don't put those off. It's very easy to put these off when you're feeling well, but sometimes you don't know what's going on in your body. So keep your scheduled appointments unless it's an emergency. You keep your annual primary care checkups and know your numbers. Know what your blood pressure is, your cholesterol, your A1C, your glucose, and all that. Know these things because they will help you to address some of maybe warning signs. Um, Reduce any type of situation that you have control over. If you have control over something, then take control. All of these things we talk about help reduce the risk of diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. Because if we boost the resilience, our body is able to respond and cope with stress and adversity better than if we didn't have the right fuel in place. So we want to improve our communication and emotional connection to strengthen our relationships with those we bond with. And we want to empower the women in our lives, the friend, co-worker, child, but we want to empower them to build self-confidence and boost their self-esteem and independence. There's nothing that makes a woman feel better than having a positive self-esteem. I always tell my husband, I have no problems with my self-esteem. I never had, because that's the way my parents raised us, to be assertive, to think positively, to, just just go for it. And they help us to really develop strong self-esteem, my sister and me. And healthy women contribute positively to the communities they live in. So that helps. All of these self-care essentials really help to promote societal well-being. We're not doing this just for ourselves, but society in general will benefit from some of the things that we're doing. Now, the role society does play a role, and there are support systems out there to assist us. So we talk about, knowing your numbers and getting your screenings. There are many resources out there that are available to the public. The community support. For instance, you can go to the Y to start an exercise program. There are mentorship programs out there, and sometimes in your church, you may find that. In your workplace, especially now where we have the flexibility to work remotely or to do hybrid, flex your hours. Take your mental health days. And I have to say, I used to be very guilty of not taking time for myself. I'm working very hard, and as a leader, if you don't take a vacation, you lose it. You can't carry over. So I lost all my vacation last week because I was so busy. I didn't have time. This year, I've decided I'm not going to do that. I just took a week and I didn't go anywhere. I just told my husband, don't expect any prepared meals for this week. This is me time this week. And that's exactly what I did. And he didn't fuss, he didn't say a word, So we want to educate those around us about the stigma of mental health, because it really should not be stigmatized. As I mentioned, there are many resources out there that we can benefit from. And for instance, my hospital offers free screenings, mammograms. We're talking about women, but we also offer free screenings for men, colorectal cancer, and PSA. So we want to really, if we have the opportunity, to advocate for policy and cultural change, because we have to be able to change society's mindset about mental health disease, because really, men, it's a disease just as like a physical disease. It's just that it affects one part of our body. And physical health, of course, physical disease affect us physically. So there shouldn't be any major separation where we stigmatize mental health. Um, Participate if you can in awareness campaigns and encourage legislative reforms if you have the opportunity to protect and empower those with mental health conditions. We need to challenge this stereotype and speak out. Speak out whenever the opportunity presents itself. So addressing stigmatizing comments or media portrayals, when you see them, you need to do so. You need to jump on those things immediately. Advocate for accurate, compassionate representations of mental health in the media and society. Every opportunity we get, we need to have something positive to say and educate people, and like my grandma used to say, and set them straight, because sometimes they just need um, education to increase their awareness because they may not know. So we need to seize those moments. We have to break the stigma. We absolutely have to break the stigma of mental health. Um, Breaking that stigma requires a combination of education, having open conversations, being empathetic, and through advocacy. Um, the stigma of mental health often deter women from seeking help. They don't want anybody to know. So hence the reason why we have to normalize these conversations regarding mental health issues, and sharing recovery stories whenever we have an opportunity. Um, we talk about the language we should use when we are around people that are impacted by mental health and mental disease. Educate and dispel the myths that people often have, and there are lots of myths out there. So we need to dispel the myths and support our women without being judgmental. Just be there for them as they share their stories, if they feel comfortable with you, and just supporting and boosting their self-esteem to get them over that hurdle. Because it could be just a temporary thing that they just need to address, maybe be on a little bit of medication just to get them to a point where they can get back to some sense of normalcy. We talk about some of the resources and help out there. For instance, we have the hotline, suicide hotline, which now is like 988. So you can get assistance immediately if you notice someone is experiencing some sort of trauma or breakdown. You don't have to call 911. You could call 988. They will speak to you on the phone. They will help you to calm down. And if the need arises, they would send somebody out. So we offer what we call in our hospital, we have a very robust behavioral mental health program we call Soul Support, because it's under the umbrella of the Congregational Health Network, where we have a person who educates the congregation on suicide prevention, suicide possibility identification, and talks to the congregation about local helplines. Women's clinics are there. There are many of them out there. We partner with Summit Counseling, Molina Cares, Empowerment Resource Center. We partner with a lot of our community partners to help reach some of the patients or community residents that otherwise may not have access. So my hospital welfare supports a lot of these organizations through grants and just financial funding. There are some online therapy programs that you can also participate in for meditation, Headspace, BetterHelp. There are numerous organizations out there that you can research, you can Google and get um, information about how you can better manage your mental health and wellness, because we really need to take the time to do those things for ourselves, because of course no one is going to do it for you. You have to make that concerted effort to take care of you. And this is one of the things I have decided to do. And fortunately, I have a leader who is, of course, a woman, and she's really into her health and well-being. And it's great when you have one of those. And she really insists, and she often tells me, Glenda, if you need a week, just take a week. Whatever you need, just tell me because she knows I'm really dedicated, committed, and she will really encourage me to do whatever I need to do. And I really appreciate that. Not everyone has that type of leader, but even if you don't, you got to find some way, some workaround to make sure you have your me time and you're not working yourself into the ground. So building your own personal wellness plan is critical. Carve out time on your schedule, as I mentioned, or your daily itinerary for breaks and meditation. Set some SMART goals, and we all know what SMART goals are. We need to have some specific goals. They must be measurable. They must be attainable or achievable. Must be realistic and timely. I know a lot of people set those SMART goals at the beginning of the year for weight loss, and a week later they forget about it. But set goals that are small but sustainable, and that way you feel like you're accomplishing, you're achieving something. And have a mental wellness journal or a wellness journal for yourself to kind of monitor how you're doing. If you create a wellness journal, document your journey. Periodically, take a look back at your progress. Or if you fall, which I hope you will get up and just keep it moving. If you fall, get up. And only an emergency should derail your efforts. Things happen, we know that. So that's why I said if you fall, get up, dust yourself off, and keep it moving. And maintain interpersonal contact with your people, with your friends, with and without mental health conditions. You don't have to isolate a person because they have some sort of mental health disease. No, that is just isolation is more damaging and devastating. So you want to be there for them to show support and help them develop effective ways to reduce and increase their coping mechanism. You want to share stories, whether in person or through media. All that helps to foster empathy. And self-care is not selfish. And that's why I said, when I told my husband, I said, there won't be any meals in the house this week because this is my me week, my me time. Be strategic about whatever you're doing. It's not selfish. Take time for you because no one is going to make time for you. You take the time you need to take care of you. I will always advocate for that. So, closing the reflection and the call to action, I want you to think about some small next steps and takeaways. What small change you would commit to today or this week? And I want you also to encourage connection, share takeaways, share link to resources with your loved ones or friends or yourself, if you're experiencing some mental health deterioration because you are worthy of your health. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of having experiencing joy. So you may want to explore, depending on where you live, local resources, your church. A lot of times the churches offer mentorship program, they offer other programs, your school, your employer. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to tell your story because I said earlier, more often than not, someone is having the same experience or knows of someone who is experiencing what you're going through. And that can help to boost someone's self-esteem, to just let them know they're not alone. There are other people out there with the same thoughts and feelings and the same challenges, and just help them along the journey to get back to a point where they back to their old selves, because that is really important for us to be able to do those types of things. In conclusion, I want to talk a little bit of just reiterate Mental health is key to women's well-being. Good mental health, I should say. So awareness and early signs are vital, and the support that we receive from our loved ones, that's really critical. We need to have that support because oftentimes we feel neglected, we feel all alone, we feel there's nobody there to support us, and that's often not the case, but we have to show, we need to demonstrate that we care because, every woman deserves stigma-free care. So we have to learn to prioritize mental wellness together. When we feel good about ourselves and reward ourselves because of our accomplishments, our brain releases dopamine and our bodies develop a craving for more of those good feelings, more of the good deeds. And actually, that's rewarded by feeling even better. So dopamine is, I mean, of course, our body produces that. You're not taking any external medication or prescribed medication. This is your body responding to good deeds. Your body is responding to some very positive things that it's feeling and it wants more of it. So if your body responds well to a good workout, then you may want to work out even more often, or maybe increase your workout a little more because it really makes you feel good. And before COVID-19, um, I spent 5 days at the gym, and of course I've gained a few pounds since I don't spend as much time because I don't have all the equipment in my house. I have a gym in my house, but I don't have as many of the specialized equipment. But you just feel so, when I worked out, I just felt so good emotionally because my body was just releasing that dopamine and it just made me feel so good, so powerful. My self-esteem is through the roof. I just feel good about myself. I like the way I look and feel. And so, yes, don't be afraid to reward yourself, not with food. And if you do have to reward with food, eat something healthy, but just reward yourself for doing something for fun. Like I said, we may want to go to the aquarium. We want to take a trip. We want to go on a cruise. Reward yourself. Don't break your your goal or derail when you go on the cruise. Just eat healthy stuff, and you're there for a week maybe, and just tell yourself when I return, then I will do what I need to do. But if you are so inclined, what I do when I cruise, I exercise every day. I go to the gym before breakfast, my husband and I, then we go to breakfast. So I don't feel that sense of guilt that I'm eating more than I normally eat at home because at home I just have a smoothie and my dinner. On a cruise, I eat 3 meals. So there are lots of little things we can do to just make ourselves feel good and not feel guilty, and they're free, some of them. So as I come to the end, I had the floor open for questions or shared experiences that will not happen today. But as you view this slide deck, you want to discuss the mental health resources and programs that are available in your communities. I will share with you the references that I utilize to put this deck together. There are lots of information from WHO, lots of information from the National Institute of Mental Health, great information from the CDC, more than you even need, good peer review articles on women's health and wellness, and there are reputable websites out there like NAMI and Mental Health America. You can benefit significantly from some of these. And I have to say, it is with gratitude that I say that I really appreciated being asked to do this presentation. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I've learned quite a few things in the process of putting things together, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I have created a workbook for you, a wellness workbook. You can scan the QR code, and there is a 7-page workbook that you can utilize to start your self-care journey. If you do that, I think you will be very pleased with yourself, with your accomplishment, and hopefully, if we cross paths, you can mention or share with me the impact that this wellness workbook had on you. So it's with gratitude that I end this program. I pray and I trust that I was able to share some things with you that you were able to incorporate into your daily lives and reap bountiful benefits. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity and goodbye.